Matuska Taxidermy Supply live. Welcome everybody, Tom Matuska here for Matuska Taxidermy Supply Thursday afternoon live, and it's been a while. First we took a little break from the Thursday afternoons to regroup, and then holy smokes, we were hit with the coronavirus, and we're just coming off of that, so it's been a little disruptive here, and we had employees off work. We kind of managed to hang out in the shop and keep our distance from one another and get a few projects done. The supply company has not been in operation for a little while, and we went a hard start, I think maybe a week ago or so, and now we're up and running and filling orders like crazy. It's busy because I think a lot of taxidermists were home, able to work in their own shops and get a lot of their projects done. I know the customers, there's a lot of comments from customers that they're really excited that this gives their taxidermists a chance to stay home and finally get some work done and not go to their other jobs or whatever. So in getting all that work done, they ran out of supplies, and when they ran out of supplies, the major supply companies were kind of shut down, and we weren't able to help too many people. We think we're pretty essential. I think I'm essential. You think you're essential, but a lot of people don't think we're very essential. So we were forced to shut down. The phone sometimes rang and rang and rang here, and we weren't able to help people. But we're up and running. We spent this time getting a lot of things done. We worked on some new sculptures. We've got brand new XP forms coming out.
We've had a lot of calls on those, and those are the 7.5 by 20 by 22. And they, for those that have asked, are going to be hopefully ready for production early next week. But there is a wait list. So tomorrow. So those that have ordered, you are on that list, and we're going to get them out as soon as possible. And for those that want to get on the list, give us a call for them.
And I can't tell you, they're just a work of art. These, I mean, a whitetail form's a whitetail form's a whitetail form. Any good taxidermist can take a bad whitetail form and make a good-looking deer out of these. But anybody can take an XP form and make a good-looking deer out of them. I mean, they're gorgeous. The anatomy on them is beautiful. The detail on them is beautiful. The accuracy, you can't get any more accurate. And we got a couple sneaks coming. And those will be done in, I'd say, 2 weeks. We'll have the sneaks.
Full sneaks?
Full sneaks. They're pretty too. They're pretty. So I don't know. That must bring our XP forms up to how many? 16?
With your Southwest?
We got a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're gorgeous. You'll want to give them a try. I'd like to tell you they mount themselves, but you people will be calling in and say, I let this deer overnight and the stitches are still unsewn. But they really do. They fall together. You're going to like them.
Yeah. We've got some change-out heads available.
Beautiful change-out heads.
Yeah.
Beautiful change-out heads. Deer, as a deer matures in age, he may be a 7.5 nose to eye, but that 7.5 actually widens and deepens a little bit. And with our change-out heads, we've got a company, remedied a little bit of that. You can make a more mature 7.5 or 7.25, and a lot of options to choose from. Happy Mother's Day. We have a little bit late here, but Mother's Day we just came off of, and if you forgot that, I wouldn't want to be you. Because
it's important one.
My wife is not my mother, was always the excuse. That doesn't usually hold water very good.
I've heard some people say that. Also, with that, Mother's Day and then Father's Day is coming up. Going to be here faster than we know too.
Yes, it is.
But
that's an important one. Don't
equally, if not
equally important.
Another huge thank you to all the essential workers, or for those that are married or have kids or family with essential workers. This is kind of crazy time, and we're going with the flow on day to day with what's going on. We are open now, so our orders, I know before this happened, people were kind of placing their, oh my gosh, orders. And we're basically back to 24 to 48 hours, orders are going out. So we're right there. If it's a large order in the production, we're missing some of our key production team, it might be another day, but we're getting them out fairly fast now. So you have that. Canada, we are able to ship to Canada, New Zealand. There's a few random ones that we can't, but call in and we can tell you who we can and can't ship to. So our online store is back up and running for everybody now.
That's another thing, even when we were kind of semi-open and we couldn't replenish our supplies because a lot of our vendors were closed and shut down. So
Our production team was probably our biggest
Sure.
help too.
Sure.
Yeah. But we're back. As much as possible, we'll let you know if there's something out that we can't get in from our vendors. We'll keep you posted.
And we'll be here every Thursday for quite some time. And it's kind of fun because I had somebody write us and wanted to get into fish taxidermy. And they wanted everything they needed to mount a fish. Well, I can sell you every paper clip and I can convince you can't mount a fish without a T-pin, but you don't want to do that, you know. And so Mandy gave me the YouTube video just to tell them, because we've covered so many things. We mounted bobcats, we mounted fish, we mounted birds, we injected bird feet, we've done it all. And so we just directed them back to that pattern making of fish and skinning a fish. And so they'll go back there, and I gave them a list of essential tools that they're going to need, and cutouts and
non-essentials. What if they can't get those?
There were some things I said I will highlight in red what I really think you have to have, and there was a lot of things that I think they could get by without. Naturally, a taxidermist wants every single tool there is, and I think I've got them, but they sit in my box and they don't get used. You know, I have my favorites that I can't live without, but I have a lot of really neat stuff that it was pretty neat to get and to try, but I don't need it. You know, I can do it without.
That YouTube, that was simple and fast. One of the things with YouTube that we now are doing is we are live now with YouTube and Facebook at the same time. So for those that are going to watch later on YouTube, and they're mainly YouTube and no Facebook, we are now live on Thursdays 4 to 5, so you can catch us on both platforms. And it's super easy to go back and type in YouTube Matuska skinning, and it pulled up those two instantly. So they're titled very well that you can easily find them.
We're building quite a library.
Oh gosh, you
How
must
long
have
have we done this?
2 years ago.
or so,
Yeah.
don't we?
Yeah.
And what do we have to do to get kicked off of YouTube? Because I've seen it happen in the last few weeks. A couple people, they just
Stay
they're there
appropriate.
and then they're not. You know, so we got to be careful.
Kimberly's wondering if we're gonna have more sizes. Yes. I would assume the full sneak and that
XPs?
sheet, yeah.
We will.
They're
We
coming.
will have a size and a pose for everything you can think of if I live long enough, because someday we are going to show you just what it takes to make. You were mentioning it this afternoon. We get the sculpture from our sculptors and make sure that it's perfect. Once it's sculpted, we have to cut dam lines. And you used to put dams in all the time on our parts. They have to be able to come apart. Then they get primed, and then we fix every minuscule little ding and dent and ripple in them and make them perfect. And that might be a 2-time process. And then they go, the girls dam them, and then they cover them with plastic so they don't get overspray on them. And we do one piece. Don't tell our secrets. We do one piece, and then it gets prepped for a second piece. Each piece takes 2-3 days. And then another piece and another piece.
Why do you do so many pieces?
Any of the really nice forms we have, like the Competitor's Choice, like the XP forms, and like the Sagebrush Series Mule Deer, any of them that we have a lot of detail as far as in the briskets, under the chin, the jawbones, and you can't get those apart in a 2-piece mold, so it takes a 3-piece mold. But so much energy goes into every single one of those, and it wouldn't have to, but we want to make them pretty. I want you to open up that box and take out your first XP form and go, oh my gosh, I can't wait to mount on this. That's the reaction I want from everybody.
You've always said that.
And it's like a fishing lure. You know, they got to be pretty. You buy the color and the shape.
Catch the tax.
And when you mount them, you want to feel so good about what you just did that you want to do it again.
Yeah.
You know, they're fabulous.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we go to a lot of effort to try to try to give you a better product than absolutely everything.
We do that with our birds, our fish, our pretty much everything we put together has a heck of a process.
Richard is asking, which Richard, this was on my list to talk about, but do y'all have any driftwood still? Mackenzie's out and don't know when they are going to get any. We just got a fresh pallet by pallet by pallet
Pallets
load.
and pallets and pallets. It takes
We
up
are
the whole
loaded
yard.
with fresh tumbled cedar driftwood. So first of all, your first mistake was your first call. But no, we
See,
haven't.
we get kicked off.
We have really good cedar driftwood that's just delivered. So give us
And
a
we will
call. And
always have great artificial driftwood too.
that's true.
You can always get that.
Yes. So there you go.
So we've got it. Today we're going to talk about airbrush kind of maintenance, and we'll show you a few varieties of airbrushes, and everybody's going to have their favorite. It's just like you know, guns or fishing rods or anything else. You're going to find one that you like and you're going to stick with it, and what works for one person might not work for another person. And so we're going to show you a little bit about airbrushes. We'll touch on paints and thinners and reducers, but that's a whole nother section that we're going to cover in depth. We're going to show you some fun products and hoses and how to keep these things running.
Yeah. Probably the biggest question we get in the shop on 10 questions is airbrush related.
And it doesn't matter. It's kind of interesting because we go to a lot of taxidermy shows, and we get to rub shoulders with, you know, world champions and things, you know, pretty influential, important people who really know what they're doing when it comes to this industry. And more than once, I have talked to somebody, and you know, naturally it's gonna come around to what airbrush do you use, you know, because you're so good, it has to be the airbrush, right? You know, so what airbrush do you use? And it'll be a Pache H. A Pache H is a fine airbrush, and I don't want to minimize a Pache H. I use them every day. It's a single action airbrush, but it is probably the most least expensive airbrush in our lineup. It is the most dependable airbrush in our lineup. It doesn't run with one finger operation. You have to adjust the color up here. Hence, it's called a single action. Pushing down the trigger only gives you air, nothing more. This is what gives you more paint. But the Pache airbrush, we've used them for years. We still have 16 of them, and which we line up when we have students with every color, so they don't have to switch colors out. It only has 2 color adjusting parts, which easily come apart with a little set screw.
Very simple operation, simple to clean, simple to take care of.
And when you get these airbrushes, did you read the directions? You did. Most people don't read the directions from beginning to end when they get an airbrush. So this gets dirty and they don't know how to clean it. So naturally you're gonna run a little thinner through it. You spray a little thinner through it, set it aside, and it doesn't work the next time. There's diagrams on how to take these apart, and you can dismantle them very well. Take that little set screw out, take your parts apart. If you're using lacquer paints, we clean them with lacquer thinner. If you're using water paints, some people use Windex to clean them, alcohol to clean them. Otherwise, all the water and acrylic companies have their own thinners and reducers.
Yeah.
You know, what we don't have is your favorite airbrush out there. Oh, you don't have.
I wouldn't be without it.
That's anyway, that's a single action. I have 2 single actions up here. Another one is it's called an SAR from Iwata. And of the major airbrush brands, you're going to talk to a lot of people that have a lot of different airbrushes, but we carry Iwata's, which is a really nice airbrush. Have some real high-end airbrushes. We carry Pache and Badgers. And there's other airbrushes out there, and some of you probably have different ones that you really, really like. This is an SAR Iwata. It too is a single action. All you get from the airbrush is air when you push down the trigger. That's all you get is air. To change your color, the amount of color coming out, you adjust this little collar on the back, open it for more, close it for less, and that's how you adjust the paint.
And basically by moving that collar on the back, you're just pulling the needle back rather than having to pull it back with your finger.
Yeah, kind of think of it inside of here. We're going to show you the inside of one and how to take it apart. But inside of here, they call it a fluid adjusting nozzle. And there's a little nozzle in there with a needle that goes through. And that needle will go through that color or that nozzle and plug the hole. No paint can come out. If you back it out a little bit, it leaves a little ring of gap in there where a little bit of paint can come through. You people are learning a lot out there.
So basically, there are two classifications of airbrushes, single action and double action. Single being one function of the trigger, and you have some doubles here too, don't you?
Yep.
What's the benefit of one over
Here,
here?
I do all the talking. You go ahead.
No, you talk.
No.
They're rusty.
So with a double action airbrush, same function, the needle and the fluid adjusting nozzle, but in this case, we press down to get air and we move the needle at the same time. So we can pull that needle back with our finger rather than having to turn something and have it set. So in this case, our needle would be directly related to the manipulation of our hand. So we can pull more paint or less paint all with one motion. So that's when you say advantage of each. I don't know if there's really an advantage. It's more of a comfort, what you're familiar with.
Kind of like a single shotgun or a,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
Do you prefer, personally, single action or double action?
I like my double. It took me a long time to get used to it, but now I probably wouldn't be without it. However, we in class teach beginners. We often start them with a single action airbrush, and every time I pick up an H airbrush, I think, man, that was fun to use. So I like my double action just because of the versatility, and I'm very familiar with it, but I don't think there's a disadvantage to either one of them.
Airbrushes in using and not getting cleaned up properly deteriorate in their workability. And when you get, it's so gradual that you won't realize it. You know, paint gets caked up in the tips and stuff that you can't see, and you clean the outside to get them nice and clean, but there's something in there that's hindering it from working properly. Speaking of students, we had a student in the last class who wanted an H, and we got him a brand new H from the supply company and hooked it up for him. And when I used it, I went and got Brett right away, and I said, "You got to come use this." I said, "This is like any of our high-end airbrushes. It's a $30 airbrush, and look at it paint." The reason our 16 do not paint that way is because I've had them for 20 years. I've used these things, the same airbrush for 20 years.
Those are probably 25.
These have not changed, nor has a VL. This is a double action Pache, similar to the Iwatas in the way they work. But my first double action VL airbrush I got in 1968, and I do not think anything has changed except maybe the font on the Pache. That's it. I mean, they have not changed, and they still work as good as they did. So anyway, these little guys work great. They all work good if you take care of them and you maintain them. Another popular one, which people like, and this is an inexpensive airbrush also, and it's an Iwata and it's a Neo. And you can take off this color cup because it's a little bitty quarter ounce. Maybe you want to paint something bigger, something with a lid on, and you can put on this one.
So you have to buy that color cup separate?
I think they come in a kit. I think you get.
By golly, it does.
It does, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But this is a nice little airbrush. There's entry-level airbrushes. I'm going to say the H airbrush is still in the 30s, maybe low $40 range, all the way up to your favorite is the Micron, custom Micron, and the custom Micron is $600 plus.
$633.95.
Yeah, And so, and I think if we look a little harder, we can probably find one twice that much money if you really want to. But anyway, so we have entry level all the way up to intermediate. For intermediate, I think we really like the Iwata Bs and the Iwata Cs, and that's a cup size. You have a B there, and this is a C. Now something
You're looking at the same price for both of those.
And if you look in the catalogs, they go by millimeter size, 0.02, 0.025, 0.03, all the way up to I think that this might be 0.05, which is still pretty darn fine, you know. If you were painting, a lot of people use these for fishing lures. If you were painting fishing lures, that Neo would be perfect.
Oh, absolutely.
If you're painting the little oil glands on a whitetail's eyelid, you know, you're going to want a, you know, more precise airbrush. But it goes by millimeters, and sometimes that will depend on what kind of fluid that you're painting. Are you spraying dyes? Are you spraying waters? Are you spraying lacquers? Are you spraying oils? Sometimes the medium that you're painting is too thick for one of those fine airbrushes, so they think the airbrush doesn't work well. And what we found over and over and over again is when an airbrush doesn't work, I would say it's 89.9% operator error. You know, almost always it's operator error. Almost.
You're talking about the HPB Plus, and that one sticks in my head because if someone's asking for an Iwata, like what one do you prefer? Take the Micron out. You two, and I know along with Jimmy Lawrence, would pick that B, the Iwata B, with the small cup.
I'd pick the B or the C.
Either
Honestly, the C was my first Iwata, and I absolutely love that brush. This does have a finer needle. This is a 0.2. I believe that one's a 0.3. But I've done very, very, very fine detail with my C. I still like my C.
When people ask me the difference in 0.02 and 0.023 or something, I always say, I don't think your eye is going to be able to tell the difference. You know, a person may be able to, but for all practical purposes, this one puts down a really fine line, and that one does too. You know, they're similar to me. The one thing about the C is with the bigger cup, if you're doing fish and you wanted to paint a walleye belly, you know, white, or a fish of any kind white, that cup may not hold enough white to do the job. This cup probably will. The C cup is available with a lid in case you're one of those people that spill it and tip it. I always use the story about, we had a student one time out of the military by the name of David McLean, but I'm not going to mention his name, who did the most beautiful rooster fish. It was a gorgeous rooster fish. And he was leaning over, and he spilled black paint on the side of the rooster fish.
It was 99.75% done.
All right, we do have a question from Richard Renegar, and he says that he has a Badger Renegade and it's pushing air out of the color cup. Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah? Oh, you want to hear?
Yeah.
Typically, if something's it's back pressure,
Yes.
and that means something between here and here is clogged. And I'm going to show you, I'll show you how to take one of these apart, but something's clogged. It's either where the needle goes in, there's a little crumb, there's some dried paint in there, which is constricting, but
Q-tip lint.
yeah, that's a bad one. Air tries to get out the needle, but it can't, so it goes back and bubbles in the cup. That should be an easy fix for you.
Yeah. Pull the needle, scrub it off.
And needles get bent. Now you'll notice, let me tell you too, people that read their directions like Brett, Iwata tells you that this is nothing more than a needle protector, and when you paint, you take that nozzle off. That exposes your needle. You will poke yourself in a hurt. Your needle sticks.
Did that.
You did that today.
Yes, I did.
Now, the problem with that is you can get really close and get a lot of detail that way, but if you bump the needle on the table or anything, you're going to bend it. So we have a fix-it for that too.
Yes, we do. Always used to use my jeans.
Okay, I'm gonna show you how this works. You're gonna show them how it works. I'm gonna bend the needle. Now, I'm gonna take this good C needle. This is a demonstration. This is a
I didn't know about this.
this is a Sharpen Air by Chad Elliott.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that's his invention. And the Sharpen Air, if you bend an airbrush needle, you can try fixing it all you want. Ooh, this one's already bent, so it won't come out. You can try fixing it all you want, but you're probably not gonna get the bend out of it. So let's take this perfectly good airbrush needle and give me something I can bend it on. How about a little wood?
Oh, I heard that.
Oh, I didn't do good enough. Okay, now this is clearly bent. Clearly bent. Now, if you try spraying that, using that again, first of all, what you're going to do is you're going to run it, pull it out of your nozzle because it didn't work. You're going to pull it out of your nozzle. Now you just damaged your nozzle, the nozzle that's in here. But we got to fix this, and hopefully you can still use the nozzle in there. Now, go ahead and show them how to fix that.
Oh my gosh. So this happens often if your airbrush hits the floor, you
Or
don't have
just
a good
scrape it on a
airbrush
piece of wood.
hanger, or if you scrape it on a piece of wood. So the Sharpen Air has 4 different slots on top, and each one of them has a different grit.
The first 2 are for the needle, I believe.
The needle tip.
The tip, and the second 2 are for the shoulder, because I think you grind that needle down a little bit and then the shoulder spacing
Back
changed.
to the shoulder. Yep. So we'll start here with the first one, and all I'm going to do is spin it. I'm going to turn it. I can feel tension on it, so I know that it is doing some good here. Looks like I need to go around a few more times.
I did a bit, didn't
I? And then we're going to go over to the next one. That looks pretty nice. The next one is the same angle. It's just a finer
I think it's a
polish,
polish,
isn't it?
yeah. And they even send you with that another little polishing sheet that like sandpaper that you can put it between. And you can tell how good your needle sharpening is by dragging it on your pants or any kind of a
Like a,
fine cloth that'll snag it.
like a hangnail.
Yeah.
Craig Robertson says hi, Tom and Brett.
Oh, hi, Craig.
Yes, yeah.
Is there
Come
room in the
get
box
your help.
for airbrush and paints?
We need
When can we send that box?
What box we're sending?
Well, the elk,
Oh,
the deer.
gosh, come back.
Yeah.
I didn't realize those were good.
Craig was a student, an overachiever, and can you show a picture of that beautiful elk that he did that we've got to fit in a box to go to Australia?
And brought his lovely wife, Janet.
Janet, yep. And she made, she cooked for us, and she's an unbelievable cook.
She was making some sweets that was hard to pass up.
And Craig was going to get me the recipe for some granola cookies that were a meal. They were big and they weighed like a half a pound, and you could take them on any survival mission. They were good. Feel this. This is like as perfect as it could be.
It did. I'm surprised, but it worked.
I knew you were shocked when I bent it over like I did. Iwata needles are some of the hardest needles there are, and when they're bent, they're pretty hard to get straightened out again. That's perfect. I can do it on my pants, nothing snags.
Yeah.
I can do it on my good shirt, nothing snags.
How about on the paper? Can you show them on the paper? If your needle is bent and you drag it on a piece of paper, it'll catch.
But that's a Sharpen Air. Now, I don't know what does a custom micron cost for a needle? I would say they're probably
$42.95.
That's it? That's not bad.
And for a normal Iwata needle, you're looking at about $10.50, $11.
Okay, I have to take this part to get my trigger back down there.
Still don't get to bend.
You have a couple questions. First, you have a shout out from Quinn. Better say hi. Hi, Quinny.
Hi, Quinn.
And then Tim's wondering, do you recommend any cleaning machines?
I did that
like
once.
a jeweler's.
I did that.
Machine.
And when you take an Iwata apart, or you take the needle out, oh gosh, thank you, before I lost my parts. This is an Iwata cleaning mat, brand new to us, and you put all your parts on here so that they don't fall on the floor.
And it's rubberized, so it's not going to do any damage.
Look at that.
It shows you where your parts go. Tanya, the product they were using was called the Sharpen Air. We are exclusive sellers of that with Chad Elliott, and you're going to see two models. There's actually a Pache model and there's an Iwata model.
Correct.
The Pache model has to have a separate one because the needle is a little bit more thick than the Iwata. The Iwata works for all other airbrushes. It's kind of a universal one, but because of Pache's not a needle size, you need to get that one specifically for it. We
And they
also
come in different colors.
black, green, and pink for the Iwata series. Buddy wants to know, are y'all coming to the Nationals? We were just talking about
We
that.
hope so.
It's kind of in our backyard.
The only two we have left that haven't been canceled yet, and we're hoping they aren't, but Missouri and Nationals. Missouri just called to confirm us, and we right now aren't going to confirm until we know 100% what our area is doing. But we hope that we can make it, and we're planning on it. We're just going to wait till we get a little closer to the date. And Nationals, that is right in our backyard, and we kind of
That's
might have to
July,
treat
I
it
think.
like the world since we didn't go to any other ones.
That's what we're hoping.
Yeah. More to come.
Craig says, receipt for the cookies this week and with an order, Tom.
Oh.
So is that going to spray like new now?
That one, nah, we didn't clean it, we just fixed the
It
tip.
won't be because.
What
of
would
the
you
needle.
clean it with?
That's a good question.
Yes.
We have a couple different options. Most of the time, in most cases, your normal thinner that you're using every day, whether you're using lacquer paints or water paints, will take care of most cleanup. However, especially with water paints, and especially with some airbrushes that get left and not cleaned, like mine,
That's
all
good.
this
That's
nice colorful stuff here. When you have dry paint like this, hopefully you don't have it on the inside, but if you do, this is a Createx product and it really does a good job. It's called Restore, it's 4008, and it's a solvent based. I've actually used this, we use this on lacquer paint too.
It worked.
And it's very hard on the paint. I would not recommend this as a thinner. It will be very, very hard on your paint. It will thin your paint, but it also, I think, will break down the integrity of the paint.
I cleaned my Createx paint out of my airbrush, and the Restore took lacquer paint that was dried in there that I didn't even know was in there.
Yep.
Out.
Yep. That was the very first time we used it. I thought, well, this can't be anything different than a thinner. It's very different and it's very hard on the paint and does a great job of cleaning up. Any hard to clean up.
And that's a Createx Restore.
4008. There's a whole bunch of little numbers with this Createx.
We carry that in the pint only.
Nope, I think we got a couple. I saw them.
And we don't have a.
Right
They're in the
at work.
catalog as pint
Pint
only,
only.
but we might have them
Yeah,
online.
I think we do. And if you use lacquer paints, we just use lacquer thinner.
Yeah, yep, lacquer thinner does a great job.
What do you recommend for painting fish, water or solvents?
Well, for 40 years, I would have said, I started with oils, but as soon as lacquers came out, it was polytransfers, and then Lifetone came out, and then we started a supply company, we carried Lifetone paints, and Lifetone was my go-to paint for 35 years. I always said lacquer is easy to use, it's user-friendly. I had tried different acrylics and never had any luck with acrylics. I couldn't thin them, I couldn't I got them too thin. I couldn't clean them out of my brush. If I let them dry in my brush, they were like Elmer's glue to get out. I disliked them as much as you could dislike the paint, and I'd go back. I spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars. We will. This is all for another session, because when we start talking about acrylics, because we got some fun stories. But we started with Chad Elliott from Sharpen Air, directed me to Craig Kennedy from Createx, and the rest is history. We haven't looked back. We love the stuff, and it's exceptional paint. But we have a whole session coming up in a couple weeks or so about different paints, and we're sold. We like it.
Absolutely. If to be put on the spot, if you're a solvent guy, the Lifetone paints are still a great lacquer-based paint. If you're just getting started, there are some health issues with lacquers that we have found a way around with Createx. I don't think that it's, I know it's build is much safer. I'm sure you're still breathing if you're not wearing a.
But there's no odor. You know, people used to come in here and they go, oh my gosh, and when we're painting a lot of fish, it's just foggy in here. And the acrylics go right to the paper. They don't float around. You don't breathe them.
We don't have to run the big fan anymore.
No, the big fan. We haven't used the big fan in.
Nice.
The big fan, every time I turn it on, we have to reverse the motor all the time because it pulls the whole building to the east. And then we got to reverse the motor to push the building back in the foundation. It's a big fan.
Tim White's wondering, how do you clean your airbrush?
Great question.
Short-term cleaning and long-term cleaning. This is I think I got thinner in here now because I was cleaning it out. If I'm going to use it later today or tomorrow or whatever, depending on what product you're using, if I'm using lacquers, now also this is a Pache BL, and it runs. I mean, you hold your paint on a little color cup. This is a 1/4 ounce color cup, which works pretty good. Or you can have bottles, and you can hook this right up to a bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're doing a lot of fish and a large volume of paint, you'd want to use a bottle and have different bottles for different colors. To clean it short term, I would take typically the thinner, and I would put a little thinner in my cup, and then I need your little glass globe to blow it out. And I would just blow through there. Now here's where you get, this is what'll show you, oh there it is. This is a little, it's got a filter in here, a little air filter. It's got some material down in here. Ours is kind of in bad shape.
Because you use it a lot, cleaning
And
station.
you put your airbrush in there and you spray all that thinner, whether it's lacquer or whatever, and it traps all your pigments and bad stuff, and just nothing but air comes out there. When we use lacquer, we use that all the time. Okay, I spray my thinner through there, my reducer, but now if I hold this and pull back on the trigger, see that bubbling in there? I don't know, can you see it? That's the back pressure he was talking about, they were talking about. See, and that's because I'm holding my finger over there, so something up in here is clogged. Okay, I would spray it out till it sprays clean. I always used to put a drop of 3-in-1 oil down there and spray oil out, and I'm sure that would scare a lot of people. You know, you don't want to put oil in your airbrush. Somewhere, Iwata Lube is a product that they make. That's a really good thing. Put a drop of that down in there and spray it, and it keeps everything spraying fine till this afternoon, till tomorrow, till whatever. Not for days in a week. If you want to do days in a week, I would clean this better. So to clean it, I would dismantle it. Now, this is a Badger hose with a quick disconnect. We like our quick disconnects. I can take this Badger off by pulling that collar back, snapping that off, put an Iwata on, And all I have to do, the airbrush just has to have this little $6 adapter right here.
So that's a Badger adapter?
This would be an Iwata adapter. This is a Badger hose with an Iwata to Badger adapter. It's a little complicated, so when you, and it's not very clear, you know, when you read the text what you need, but we have Badger hoses, which we like.
They're actually called Quick Disconnect
Yep.
Badger hose.
And they got a little collar like this, and you can make that fit any airbrush with this little adapter for that specific airbrush. So if you had 4 or 5 paches, you want to use one hose, never use them all at the same time, you get 4 pache adapters.
And the Quick Disconnect Badger hose.
Yeah, it works. We like them. So that's kind of a handy thing to have. To clean this airbrush, and I'll tell you a little story. I bought my first big spray gun for spraying fish. And we had an auto body fella in town that was a great fisherman and a good customer of mine by the name of Al Aiken. And Al Aiken ran a body shop. And I went to look at big sprayers for my fish, to gloss my fish, and he used Binks and DeValbus, and these things were $300. This was 40 years ago. These were $300 guns, spray guns. They're for glossing cars. And anyway, I couldn't afford a $300 airbrush, so he directed me to a copy gun, just like those fake watches and stuff, you know. And for $35, I got a copy gun, but $35 to me was a lot of money. I gummed it up and didn't know how to fix it, and I took it to him. And those big automotive sprayers are the same setup, same configuration as this, only different.
Yes.
And he took it apart, and he had so many pieces that I had tears in my eyes because my $35 gun is never going to run again. And I go, Al, are you going to be able to get it back together? Not realizing he does this every single day when he paints cars. He takes these things apart. So once you do it, it's going to be scary. After that, it will not be scary anymore. First thing I'm going to do is take the back barrel off. Oops, where's my little thing?
I'm going to show them pieces on that.
Then I'm going to loosen this collar, and I'm going to pull the needle out. There's the needle. Now, part of cleaning the airbrush is to clean any dried paint off that needle. And if I'm using lacquers, I'll take a little lacquer thinner on steel wool, and I'll run this through steel wool and clean it up really nice and shiny.
What would you not want to use with that to clean it?
I think I don't know.
Anything that leaves lint?
No abrasives.
Oh, I know where you're going.
Okay.
That's another thing. I always cleaned out my bowls and my tips. I cleaned them all out with, I'd run pipe cleaners up them, and I'd clean these out with Q-tips, and all of a sudden I couldn't get my needle in, and it was you that said that cotton balls up in there, and when it balls up, you cannot get the needle put back in. And I have airbrushes that I thought were no good anymore, and all it is, Brett likes to take a little insect pin and pick at it for an hour and a half, and then get out the tiniest little ball of cotton, and they're good to go again.
Yeah.
Cotton is not your friend.
Would paper towels do the same thing after a while?
You wouldn't use a paper towel so much.
Steel wool.
You know what I like the best? Yeah, no, steel wool for this part. If I'm cleaning down in the bowl and I want to clean this out, I like a good Filbert's paintbrush.
Yeah.
A little paintbrush. And just swirl it, and you can scrub with those paintbrushes, and if they get frayed out, they still work fine.
Yeah.
I
And they're soft.
like a paintbrush.
Do be careful not to use anything that would be abrasive or could scratch the inside of your cup, because then you're just going to have a spot where paint sticks.
Okay, now to really clean this, I would take it all apart. And first I loosened this collar, then that allowed me to take the needle off. Then, after the needle's out, I took that collar off, and I'll take this little packing nut out of there, like so. And inside there is a spring. Spring's going to go back on here. And if you get an Iwata cleaning pad, you've got the schematic right here, so you can look, where does that spring go? Ah, see how handy that is? And then comes this out, that holds the trigger in place. Most of these double action airbrushes are the same. They have little different shaped parts, but they're kind of the same. Out comes the trigger. Then comes, this comes, I'll take it in 2 parts. First comes off the cap, then comes off that end cap, and then this is the fluid nozzle, and that just sits in there. It doesn't screw in or anything. Now, that's as far as I've ever taken one apart. I know you can get in here and take more things apart, but that's as far as I take it apart. Now, with my little paintbrush, you can use pipe cleaner if you want to. Just make sure you get the lint blown out of there. I would scrub down in this pointer here. I would scrub down in there, get that nice and clean. Get any dried paint all off the outside so your threads are nice and clean. Back in here, this is a brand new airbrush, and I've got some paint back in here. I take my little brush and clean that out. Now, if I'm using lacquer paint, I clean with lacquer thinner. If I'm using acrylic paint, I would clean with like maybe the Restore or one of their thinners. Or a lot of people use Windex on acrylic paint. Windex is a good, it's got ammonia. Ammonia, I think, is the ingredient, ammonia and alcohol. Those 2 ingredients are very helpful for cleaning acrylic paint. Then I like to take a container, like a little plastic cup, and I put all these parts in a plastic cup and let them soak and shake them around a little bit and make sure that you don't have any dried paint in here. Clean them all up real good. Any of the moving, dry them off. Any of the moving parts, I would put a little bit of oil, like lube. Little lube on any of the moving parts. I would put it on the threads to put that back together, on the springs and everything. So if I'm not going to use this brush again you don't want to do this after every color or anything like that. You want to do it after you're done for the day. You're not going to use this brush. You're going to put it back in your toolbox or back in the box it came from for a week or 2 or a month. That's when I would do this.
Diana wants to know, what do you think about using an airbrush for pearls?
I've not had luck. Have you?
I have in wide spray. They seem to, pearls go on fairly well. We used to do all of our iridescent colors with an airbrush.
Wide spray, yeah.
Yeah, in larger sprays.
With an H airbrush.
Something that you can open up, easy to get into. They do plug up a little bit because there's a larger metallic particle in the paint tends to plug up. I don't think I would use them for scale tipping, but they do run great just in large sprays.
Yeah, that's the issue we've had, is spraying them in little.
And a lot of times with a pearl color, it's there's a hard edge to it. Naturally, if they look really close, blow up your reference pictures and look close. Most of the time, there's a fairly hard edge, which you can achieve with a brush or with dry powder, with a brush and a wet mix like liquid scales. Or if you want something a little softer, you can go to a dry application with your Pearl X powders.
Anything with I found, like you said, if you're going to spray pearls and metallics, this opened up pretty wide, like on the belly of a walleye or something like that. You can give the whole thing a solid pearl with this. But to do intricate things is pretty difficult because they have particles in them.
Yeah.
And then Tim asked, which you got answered earlier, but what type of paints do you use for big game mammals?
We always used lacquers until we've got a beautiful selection of Createx mammal paints. I think you even made them in a kit, did you not?
Yeah.
There are a lot of fleshes and a lot of really pretty tissue colors.
So right now you're using the Createx for all your paint work and finish work
Everything.
in the shop.
Absolutely everything.
And
we haven't painted. I would say we have used some of the lacquer pearls, silver metallic specifically, but other than that, we've used exclusively rejects.
And it wasn't, I've told you this story before, but when we got them and we had to make a decision, and we're on the phone to Craig Kennedy, I mean daily almost, and he was giving us advice on how to use this paint, and you and Jacob came on Friday, and I said, this is a Cretex day, we're gonna do it all day long, and I want an answer by the end of the day, are we doing it or not? And your first comment at probably 9 o'clock, an hour into it, was, I don't hate it, you know? So that was hopeful, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted to hear, and by noon, I kinda like this stuff. And by the time we quit at 4 o'clock, and we sprayed everything, every color they had, every thinner they had, you really liked it, and
absolutely. We sprayed it on plexiglass, we sprayed it on leather, we sprayed it on fish skins, really put it through the ringer, and even then, that was what, probably July last year? Even then, we vetted that paint for another several months before we ever pulled the trigger on the catalog, and I'm pretty proud of that. That's something that
we don't jump into stuff.
Yeah, and that's pretty exciting because we really got to, when we tell you we like it for a reason, not just we think we like it.
Because the markup's so good. We make more money if we buy it. We don't do that.
So.
We don't do that. But if you want to really be impressed, go to the Cretex tutorials on YouTube, and oh my gosh, see what some of these people are painting.
Follow them on Instagram.
If you think you're the best artist in the taxidermy industry, you better go look at some tutorials, because you'll be pretty impressed. It was, Mandy told me to call Chad Elliott on the Sharpen Air when we were carrying those. He wanted to visit with me. I called Chad Elliott and he said, did you watch my video? And I said, I did. And I said, you were retouching a photo, and he had I think a black and white photo, a family portrait, a whole bunch of people standing there, and he's retouching it like it was an old one, and he's just fixing up the cracks and dings and stuff like that. And I said, yeah, you're retouching that photo. And he was quiet for a while, and he said, I don't retouch photos. And I said, yeah, you're retouching one. He said, that's an original. And he was painting eyelashes on a person, grandpa, this big. I mean, you've never seen people do detail like that. So that's what made me think, and so many people are using it. Every lure maker I mean, lure makers are using them, toy makers are using them, taxidermists are using them, artists are using them. It's great stuff.
Tim's wondering what the mammal kit is called. It's actually, I believe it's CX208G, and it's a game head kit, and I think it has 8 colors in it, which one is the reducer that you'll want to use with the paints. And it's online. It's not in the catalog because it's new, but it will be in the 2021.
And we'll have more kits, right?
Yes, you guys did a fish one that we're working on.
Yeah, fish kit and bird kit. There's actually, this too is a lot of discussion for another time. There's wicked colors.
Yeah.
And we don't have them out here, but the wicked colors will look like these, but when they come out of the bottle, they're like pudding.
Yeah.
They're just like pudding, and you'll think your paint dried up, but you thin it with the approved thinner, and you can thin it into, I mean, so transparent, you just put on a blush, or you can, thin it like any other paint. And the wicked colors have a lot of merit. We haven't experimented with those near as much, but because the thickness scared us. And the wicked colors you mix up 10 minutes ahead of time because they have to emulsify.
Yeah,
That's the word.
yeah.
Tim, when you go to find it on the website, one of the things that we do for our live viewers is offer the products that we're talking about at 15% off, and it's good tonight through tomorrow, and then it's over. So it kind of gives the people that watch it live with us that extra little bit to get. So that kit is 15% off along with all the other Cretex colors. So if you're thinking about trying it, you can try them. Right on our website, there's a spot that says Facebook Live, and it's a collection. And in that collection, every week we put the products that the guys are talking about. So you have Airbrushes, if you guys are on the fence about an airbrush, they're 15% off right now for the Iwata Pache. Air compressors, parts, needles, sharpen air. Basically everything they're using right here is 15% on the website. So definitely go take advantage of that and put it, I think it's FBook15 as your discount code, and that gives you 15% off those products.
And what we're gonna do with that one?
And we're doing a giveaway, and remember to like and share the video. Now that we're back live, we'll be doing a giveaway every week. We decided to pick this week's giveaway with David McLean shared we're back about 3 times. I saw it in different pages. So David, we are giving it to you. We so appreciate you guys and sharing and supporting us while we do this. We're doing it for you guys. We love our products, we love our customers, so thanks for keeping it going.
That's why I brought up the story about that rooster fish. Life Tone kit. Tim, no, we do have a game head kit in the Life Tone, but you're gonna want the CX208G is the Createx game head kit. Catalogs, we've had requests for catalogs like crazy. During this whole thing, we're in the process of getting more printed because a lot of ours got shredded in the mail. We had more requests. We're picking another batch up tomorrow, so we should have the rest of our bulk mailings going out next week for you guys that are waiting. We have a product we want to tell them about too.
Are those in your 2019 catalog, the paints you're talking about? No, it's new, Jerry. So it's not in the catalog, it's on the website, and the number is CX208G for that game head kit. The Createx colors singly are in there.
Yeah, they combine them.
And they come in kits too. You'll have a color wheel kit, a pearl kit, that kind of stuff.
Bloodline, Lifeline.
Yep.
And you can mix and match any of them.
Do the Createx paints work well in Pache airbrushes?
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
They work in all airbrushes.
they do.
And also worth noting, the Createx paints, like most others, as long as everything dries, these are compatible with any paint.
You can paint lacquers
platform.
over them after they're dry. You
Lacquers,
can paint them over lacquers.
Hand
after they're dry.
pastels, Pearlex, liquid scales, all of those things. Test them and make sure, but we've put them through the ringer. We know that they're all compatible together. But one thing you'll want to check is your gloss.
Oh, and next week, you always ask, what are you gonna talk about next week?
What are you going to talk about next week?
We have some. We're gonna talk about sealers and glosses, whether you're doing mammals or fish, birds, whatever. And this is thanks to Jim Benkin. This is a new product that he turned us on to. And tell them about that. We've had pretty fun success with this.
This is new to us. We've used a few times. And you have always glossed fish with an automotive sprayer.
2-part automotive gloss that you either put in the gravity feed or the big gun.
Yep.
And it's a hassle. You have to measure out your catalyst.
And you got to be able to unscrew the top every time.
Yes.
Every time you
Yes.
use it.
Mine's not, hey man, this isn't setting up. You put enough catalyst in? Catalyst, man, what's that? It's the little, did you get a little bottle and a big bottle? Yeah. One of the little bottles of catalyst, the big one's the resin. Whoa, man, I thought they couldn't fit it all in one container.
And in this case, they did fit it all in one container.
This is like magical.
This is a catalyzed urethane. It's a high solid. It's very similar to what you spray through your big automotive gloss, but it's a little bit easier to use. No cleanup. You don't have to worry about buying a gun. And we're going to demonstrate it next week.
It's got the catalyst in it. It mixes by popping a little vial inside.
And that's an item that, again, is new, so it's not in your catalog, but it is online, and you'll find it under what's new, and you'll find it under the Facebook Live. We are giving it 15% off for today and tomorrow. So if you're interested in trying it out.
You waste a lot with the big gun, and what are these, 25, 26 bucks or something like that? And you can do, we figured today, 4 big pike, or maybe 6 30-inch walleyes.
No worrying about color change. With
No,
paint.
And you've got a couple days to use it, even though it's catalyzed.
48 hours.
We put that to the test too. It sprayed pretty good the second day. It sprayed real nice.
And the code, Tim, is FBOOK, BOOK 15.
Oh, we've been gone so much, there's so much
I
stuff.
know. Don't forget, we do have tumbled cedar driftwood along with our artificial land. I know some people are out, but we got a good delivery on that.
New XP forms?
Yes.
Kids, one of the things we've done while we
yeah.
were away is our kids' creative, what do you want to call it? Challenges.
Yeah.
Challenges. They have gone over really well, and my kids are at home. They were not daycare or school, so it's gave Quinn a lot to do, and along with some others. So definitely, if you have nieces, nephews, grandkids, kids, friends with kids, whatever, share our challenges. This one is take a shoebox. In this case, we used an Amazon box. Take your Matuska box, whatever it is. Make a aquarium, terrarium, whatever you want. Something fun in the shop. Your kids can do it while they're not bothering you, but bothering you in there. And I think this one is done Saturday, and we'll pick a winner, and we're giving away dollar bills to the winners. So it's a
You know
great
that leopard
way.
contest? You know I had that one, and then that I didn't know there was a cutoff time, and then that little Kirk Shank kid beat me or something. You know, I had that. I had
You
it.
did. You did.
No, it's great to be back.
It is. It is. And we will be back next week.
Next week, then we're going to talk about
Fortified.
glosses, how to apply glosses. There's so many different glosses, compatibility,
Sealers, pre and post sealers before you paint, sealers after you paint. We'll cover what we can in an hour's time.
So check in next week, 4 to 5, same time,
YouTube or
or
Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah, that's exciting. I didn't know that.
Yes, so for those that aren't Facebook people, it's on instantly live 4 to 5, so you can catch it right away on YouTube.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay safe out there.
And 6 feet apart.